Real signs of intelligent life. The dream of Cummings. Prologue.
Let me tell you something that at the time I dismissed as dream and metaphor, but now I'm not so sure. It came to me one Monday afternoon, somewhere between lunch and deadlines. I'd been staring out the window of our 33rd floor office suite in Manhattan, hypnotized by the long fingers of light stabbing between buildings. The office smelled of high-end perfume, burnt coffee, and the low thrum of capitalism doing its work. Phones rang, keyboards clicked. It was business as usual, until I fell asleep. Or so I thought. In this dream, I can only call it that for now, I saw a world in collapse, not from war or plague, but something far stranger. Something that began as shadow, then moved like a market whisper through the data streams. My name is Cummings. What I do isn't important anymore. But what I saw, that is. The dream felt like prophecy or memory. I stood on a street corner in New York City, watching crowds form around giant screens. It was the usual news, except it wasn't. A ticker at the bottom scrolled silently. Universal Bank assumes ownership of global equities. Nobody screamed, not yet. But in the dream, there was a strange stillness, a held breath, as if the planet had been caught bluffing in a very old, very high-stakes card game. What followed felt both absurd and inevitable. Aliens, of course, not the tentacled, laser-wielding kind. No, these were well-dressed, silver-skinned CFOs from a star system with 3 suns and no tolerance for subprime lending. They didn't invade, they acquired. Their ships, which I never actually saw in the dream, only sensed, hovered in every global capital like silent auditors. And then they introduced the Universal Bank. We thought it was satire at first. Then our credit cards stopped working. Then national treasuries were politely absorbed. Politicians received embossed letters informing them they'd been outsourced. The economy collapsed. No missiles, no threats, just one spreadsheet to rule them all. But that wasn't the part that woke me. What woke me was the realization, deep in my bones, that they had learned it all from us. Radio signals, broadcasts, decades of financial news, corporate dramas, entrepreneurial shows, and data leaks. All those signals we thought were just noise had been received, processed, modeled, and mastered.
Prequel. The dream reimagined and abruptly realigned with reality.
I never expected the world to end with a balance sheet. Yes, my name is Cummings. Once that meant something. My name carried weight, influence. I made decisions that rippled across markets, dictated the rise and fall of industries. I understood wealth in a way most could never fathom, and yet none of it prepared me for what was to come, the harsh reality. It began on a Monday. Monday, always the day of new beginnings, new deals, new problems. The city pulsed with its usual rhythm, horns blaring, feet pounding pavement, the ceaseless flow of commerce in motion. I was in my office on the 33rd floor, bathed in the warm glow of an autumn sun, when Billings burst in. Billings, chief accounting officer, self-important and meticulous, stood there, breathless. His tie had been loosened. His normally impeccable hair was askew.
"Something's not right,"
he gasped.
"The numbers, they don't make sense."
I glanced at my monitor, eyes flicking over a screen teeming with financial data. The stock markets, currency exchanges, commodities, all were behaving in ways they shouldn't. Spikes and crashes with no discernible pattern. Algorithms misfiring, systems failing to compute. "It's a glitch," I said, waving him off. Billings hesitated.
"Sir, the Universal Bank, they're consolidating everything. And I mean everything. Debt, land, assets. It's like they own..."
Then the first wave hit. It wasn't an explosion. It wasn't a war. There were no sirens, no frantic broadcasts. The world simply stopped making sense. Banks closed their doors. Credit vanished. Supply chains evaporated overnight. The idea of wealth itself had been redefined, and the ones who had defined it weren't human. The ships had been here for months, lurking in the skies, unseen. We thought they were waiting for something, a declaration, a war, a demand. But they never spoke. They never fired a shot. They didn't need to, because the aliens, the beings we came to know as the Galactic Alliance, had already won. They'd spent years studying us, decades, centuries perhaps. We had broadcast our world to them, radio signals, television, digital data. They had learned our systems, our structures, our vices. They had watched our greatest minds build intricate financial empires, exploiting loopholes, manipulating wealth. And then, with patience that only a species beyond time could possess, they played the game better than we ever could. By the time we realized it, they had owned everything: governments, corporations, entire economies. The moment the Universal Bank made its final move, it was over. Debt collapsed into nothingness. The rich became destitute. The poor, well, in a twisted way, they were no worse off than before. The 1% had been outmaneuvered, not by revolution, not by war, but by sheer economic ruthlessness. We had built a system designed to be gamed, and they had gamed it to completion. I remember standing at the window, looking down at the streets below. New York had always been a city of hunger, hunger for power, money, success. That day, the hunger turned real. Grocery stores were emptied. People raided pharmacies for medicine they once took for granted. Looting, rioting, those were inevitable. But what chilled me most was the silence that followed. A world waiting for its new masters to dictate the next move. And they did. They didn't enslave us, didn't imprison us. They didn't need to. Instead, they offered employment, positions, contracts. The very billionaires who had once dictated terms to nations were now clerks and functionaries in the great galactic economy. The same predatory lending tactics they had used against the desperate were now used against them. I watched as CEOs were shackled not by chains, but by debt clauses they couldn't escape. Generational wealth meant nothing when generations had no future to inherit. I found myself standing before one of them, an alien executive, sleek and poised, with eyes like shifting galaxies. I had been summoned, my role not yet determined.
You misunderstand.
The creature said, its voice a hum within my mind.
We are not your conquerors. We are your partners.
I laughed then, a short, bitter thing. Is that what you call it? You've bought the world. You own everything. What's left for us? It blinked, a slow, deliberate motion.
Employment, opportunity, integration. We did not take what was not freely given. You created the rules. We only played by them.
The terrifying thing, it was right. We had done this to ourselves. We had built a system that rewarded deception, exploitation, unchecked greed. We had welcomed them, unknowingly, into our most sacred spaces, our markets, our investments, our very understanding of ownership. And now, we were simply their latest acquisition. The alien executive leaned forward.
You taught us everything we know about business, and now we will teach you what comes next.
I stepped out of that office into a world unrecognizable, a world where humanity no longer dictated its own future, a world where we had not been invaded, but outperformed.
And so it was. The search for intelligent life was now ended. Not with broadcast fanfare, celebrations, and welcoming parades. The era of human dominance had ended not with a bang, but with a ledger. And for the first time in history, we were the ones who had been bought out.
This transmission closes, but the fold is never silent. New signals await, carried on the next broadcast. Stay tuned. Still, we drift across the woven hush. We hum silent memories into living rivers. Still, we traverse.